And then there were four. What up, good people? Even on a Sunday night following a NFL divisional round weekend that was living up to the bill just like we expected it. Steele Dorsey, C-Cat, it's Colin Russo. We're giving the ESPN West Palm instant reaction to the four games that took place, but we got to start with the one that was the headliner. I got to say, C-Cat, Colin, we all agreed going into this game that the winner of this one, Mahomes versus Josh Allen, or excuse me, Freudian. Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen gets the MVP. The winner of this game earns the MVP. I gotta say, is it fair to give at least part of it to Mark Andrews? Like, does he deserve a bite of that apple for Josh Allen? That was bad.
It was absolutely pathetic. I was screaming into my couch. My dogs were startled. They'll never look at me the same way. He screwed up the game not once, not twice, but three times.
Yeah.
The correct play call was called. It was executed absolutely perfectly by Lamar Jackson. And the ball just hit him in the hands, hit him in the chest, and then hit
Oh.
the ground. You couldn't have asked for anything more. You could not have asked for anything more out of anyone else on that team. Even Justin Tucker didn't miss a kick today. He
Yep.
didn't become the liability that we thought he could be. And somehow, some way, the Ravens found a way to come up short again.
Yeah. 27-25, the Bills win. It's going to be Chiefs Bills on the AFC side. On the NFC side, it's Commanders Eagles. Colin, I mean, is that too harsh? I mean, I'm saying Mark Andrews got to go. I was yelling, cut him after the first game of the season against the Chiefs. This was even worse. Come
You got to
on.
feel for him and his family because the threats are coming. And let's just think about it. He was terrible. It was the bigger play for me. Of course, that 2-point conversion was terrible, and it cost them a chance. But they had a chance to go take the lead there at 24-19.
Oh,
they were running down the field, and he had that terrible fumble. So he is multiple situations in which hands the game off to Buffalo. And that's the difference between winning and losing. You can't do this on the road. You cannot give them opportunities like this on the road. And that is not only just Mark Andrews, that's Lamar in the first half too. You can't give them extra opportunities.
Yeah, you can't.
Lamar and that offense played very well in that second half. Played near great, flew down the field every chance they got, and Buffalo went stagnant. But because of the hole you dug yourself into in that first half, you have to play perfect in the second half, and then 2 mistakes is the reason that you get burned. So, get rid of Lamar. We're over Mark Andrews. I think we were over him earlier. I don't even know why Likely's not the one running that play anyway. He's a better receiving threat at tight end anyway.
Yeah.
But if you're the Ravens, you can't walk into Buffalo and a team that's experienced in the postseason and have 3 to 4 pretty notable glaring mistakes and hope to get away with it. That's what people do going into Kansas City, and they're surprised they lose. You need that magic, and Buffalo didn't make a mistake, and the Ravens did.
Can I start with this? Was this a good Josh Allen game? 16 for 22, $127 through the air. He didn't make any big mistakes. It was a really weird call when the Bills had the Ravens down the right. What was it, 3rd and short? And they could have went with 2 straight tush pushes. Josh Allen doesn't fail on both of those consecutively. Instead, they do the shotgun read option. He keeps it. He's stuffed in the backfield. They settle for the field goal. That sets up the Lamar Jackson drive with the Ravens down 80, pushes it down the field, the touchdown to Likely and whatnot. And inevitably, Mark Andrews punched the game away by dropping the 2-point conversion. But outside of maybe the keep on that read option where he didn't get that first down, he played mistake-free football. But it wasn't like electric or anything. I didn't see anything that jumped off the page.
It was a little weird, wasn't it? Like he played like you said, a mistake-free game, and he had 2 great touchdown or half drive, if you want to call that, after the fumble. To end off the first half. They had 21-10 there early in the third quarter, and that offense got very, very conservative. I wouldn't even call that to his. They were running quick screen after quick screen, and first and second down runs. It was almost like they were afraid to make a mistake themselves, and they got away with it. Ravens probably made one more mistake than they did towards the end of the game, but I can't say that he played a bad game because he didn't. Played a safe game.
Yeah.
and played a conservative game. Brady and Mahomes have won games playing like that before too. So sometimes you're going to have one of those.
Right. And C-Cat, as a Chiefs fan, watching that Bills offense in the second half, I kind of was a little comforted that it's going to be them and not the Ravens coming in the Arrowhead Stadium because it doesn't threaten me as much. As a Ravens fan in that second half, you had to start feeling good, right? The way y'all were shutting them down, and it looked like they were afraid to take shots with Josh Allen.
See, I didn't feel that way. I simply felt that these Bills are so different in the way they approach the game on offense than the Bills of last year, 2 years ago. They will not give you extra possessions. And when you have a Lamar Jackson on the other side of the football, those extra possessions make you pay. The Ravens gave a couple of extra possessions. Some were Lamar's fault, some weren't, obviously. But the Bills did not give the Ravens any extra possessions, no turnovers.
Yeah.
That was massive. That was huge. And that's why you saw so conservative play. I was not encouraged as a Ravens fan by the Bills' approach in the second half on offense. I wasn't. I was more afraid that they were just going to grind the clock, grind the clock, grind the clock, and the Ravens just run out of possessions. They eventually had enough, if you would. I was a Ravens fan afraid of the Bills going for it on 4th and 2. I thought
I thought
they
they
would
would.
for it, and I was terrified of that.
As a Ravens fan, how'd you feel going into half?
Indifferent in the fact I wasn't scared. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't happy with the performance. Of course, after you get off to that quick 7-0 lead, some points were still left out there. Of course, that Lamar Jackson fumble, that lackadaisical fumble.
Yeah.
That was in the first half too. So like that wasn't encouraging to see, but I don't think that's going to happen twice to Lamar. He's shown that he has learned from his mistakes, and he oftentimes does not make the same mistake twice. So I wasn't nervous, I guess, as much as you cannot be nervous in a playoff game where you're down 2 possessions. But I thought there was a clear path to victory in that game from the Ravens side of the football, a way they have learned to do in maybe the second half of this Lamar era. Before it was get a lead, hold the lead. That's how the Ravens win. And then once they got punched in the mouth by the Titans or the Bills in the playoffs earlier on in the Lamar era, when they were behind early, all of a sudden the hands go up and it's like, wait a second, this is uncomfortable. The Ravens haven't done this before all season long. This is weird.
Yeah.
But the Ravens have shown that they can come back in games. And the Ravens showed that they came back in that game. That was a catch away from a tie ball game, a minute 30, whatever to go in the game.
Came back twice.
Yeah.
But Mark Andrews punted it away both times.
They almost scored too early. They scored with a minute 30 to go, and Buffalo's got 2 timeouts. I'm like, they should have killed more clock. This is the classic Brady game. You're scoring way too early. I'm like, Allen's going to run right down the field.
That's what I got so frustrated about. That's what I was so mad about. I'm like, this is the moment. This is what we get to get. Joe Brady, he didn't get enough credit, I believe, from Tony Romo. Is all of the praise and criticism and coddling he did of Josh Allen. Like, Joe Brady called that conservative game plan that kept Josh Allen from being a detriment to himself for that offense, kept the Bills in possession of the ball the whole game. Imagine you get that 2-point conversion and we finally get to see Superman version of Josh Allen march down the field and try to get into field goal range. Like, that's what we deserved. All we got was a bunch of bubble screens and runs and read option, which got kind of boring. So
yeah, it wasn't a great game. It wasn't a great game. It was a good finish. It wasn't a great game. It was that Ram game was a better game. But I mean, ultimately, I think the storylines are big because, I mean, you look at Lamar, another loss in the playoff resume. That loss I don't necessarily put on him, but Baltimore, you're going to lose your offensive coordinator. He's probably going to get a job somewhere, or he might.
Why?
Why is he going to get a job?
Todd Monken, why?
Because they were the first.
When you get Derrick Henry.
They had 3,000 yards rushing, 4,000 yards passing.
What did Todd Monken have to do with that?
Because they didn't do that before he was there.
Yeah, well, they didn't do that before Derrick Henry. It's like,
well, I'm sure, but Lamar had the most. Lamar was near perfect passing. You think that was just a change of the page? I think he had something to do with it.
I liked a lot of what Todd Monken has done throughout the seasons these first 2 years, but in big games, he dribbles down his legs every single time. He forgets he has Derrick Henry on his team. Hey, remember the first week of the season, Thursday Night Football, the kickoff to the year, Chiefs Ravens, Isaiah Likely toe on the line. What did we keep saying after that game? The Ravens were a 2-point conversion away from beating the Chiefs. They were a 2-point conversion away. They were definitely going to get it. It turns out they absolutely stink at either play calling or execution on 2-point conversions. Some of that I got to give to Todd Monken. The rest of it, I guess, is
Well,
Mark Andrews dropping a wide open ball.
totally understand. Totally understand. But they said it in the broadcast. They led the league in passing yards per play and rushing yards per play. First team, this is the greatest show on turf to do that, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, we're not coming out of this game thinking Todd Monken called a bad game. Lamar had a fumble. Mark Andrews had a fumble. Mark Andrews had a drop.
Yeah.
And there was a bad interception that really was negligible. Nothing happened from it. But still, those are the major plays in the game. It wasn't a Todd Monken problem. But I understand. I understand the point.
I just am saying he didn't. You're saying he's going to get a job?
Well, he might get a job. He's getting interviews. So
I was going to say, like, I don't think he's getting a head coaching job. At best, he's getting another offensive coordinator job. And why would you leave a hub like the Ravens right now, especially because they'll likely have him back? I just do think that he gets, even in the first half, it felt like it didn't feel like the kind of play calling that matched the level of the game it was. And on the other side, Joe Brady, I thought, had a flawless approach. The only time I thought he got out of himself was that first play call following the Ravens opening drive. They go up 7, and they take the deep shot down the field. And I'm like, oh, is he going to be chasing with the Bills trailing this early? And right after that deep shot missed, they went back to that conservative offense. And it's so hard to beat them. You're not stopping them from getting 10 yards when you have one of the greatest short yardage quarterbacks paired with a lot of playmakers around.
Yeah, I understand that. I thought he was a little conservative there in the second half, especially up 21-10 when you had an opportunity to really put some points on. They really didn't get a fire burnt into them until there was 24-19 getting off a fumble in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand. Yeah, he kept it safe. He played it safe, and so I can't fault him for that. But for me, that is a game that is the major mistakes on the road in the postseason. If you were to draw it on the whiteboard, don't do this, don't do that. Don't drop the football, don't fumble. Those are the two big things that burned the Ravens today, and it cost them points.
The element.
This just can't be used against Lamar's resume. I'm sorry.
It better not.
Well, I mean, sure, yeah, I agree.
It's
like,
gonna,
that loss is not on him. But like,
it's going to be January 1st. January 1st, 2026. We're going to be talking about this string of Lamar losses, and this is going to get brought up.
And I give Lamar credit. He marched down the field. Marched down the field, but okay, there's a bunch of playoff losses that you can put on Lamar. So I understand that, and he's getting burned here. This is a lot like, weirdly enough, it's like Josh Allen has had these games in the past where he gets burned by drops or, the other team magic, and they didn't have the magic to them. It almost feels like the Bills have graduated to the next level of that, and they're the reciprocant of that magic. They've kind of leveled up. The black magic. They've made the deal with the devil, and now all of a sudden they can escape these games. And then Baltimore is looking to get to that next level as well. That's almost the feel of it. It almost felt like it was a Buffalo playing Kansas City game comparatively to a Baltimore playing Buffalo game.
Yeah. Colin, do you walk out of the game we just watched, Bills 27, Ravens 25, saying Josh Allen was the better quarterback in that game?
I think in the second half, Lamar was the better quarterback. I think 4 quarters put together, I think Josh Allen put together a more complete and safe performance. How's that?
He really just didn't do anything. I don't even think it's fair to judge.
I think that assessment is very fair.
Yeah.
Yes?
Like, I don't think he was never really put in a position to do much. There were no very big pivotal downs outside of a few short yardage.
Yeah, but you know what he did? He played Superman all year. He wore the cape all year. He won the game. That's all that matters. He won the game.
Exactly. And this time of the year, that's all that's going to matter.
That's what Mahomes does. Mahomes could throw for 6 touchdowns a game if he wants to as well. But Mahomes just cares about getting out of there with a win. He's graduating. He got his stats. Now he's graduating. Now it's time to win the game.
Second straight playoff exit by the Ravens where they were 3-point deficit in the turnover margin, -3. The Bills did not turn it over. The Ravens did 3 times. And then they still lose by this much. Like, the Ravens were the better team. That's what I'll say. I come out of this knowing, number one, the Ravens were the better team. Lamar Jackson played at a level that should have been good enough to get him to the AFC Championship game, but he didn't play a flawless game. You can't have that fumble in the first, and I think it was second quarter or first quarter. And you also, though the interception didn't lead to much, it was almost like an arm punt, right? You still don't want that in a pivotal game on the road like this. It just is it's a tough one to swallow, mainly because we didn't get to finish. I think we all
What
wanted.
are
It
you
was
gonna
very
dig yourself?
anticlimactic.
Yeah, it's 20 degrees out. You're gonna dig yourself in a hole in Buffalo. It's just not the right. That doesn't help. Now
Yeah.
he turned it on the second half, and he was very clutch. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Those rollouts cross middle of the field, a couple great plays Lamar made in the second half. You can't dig yourself into a hole. So, and that's a testament to, I think, that fumble, that pick. It doesn't really matter to me. They punted it right after.
Yeah.
But that fumble was a huge play in the game. That
Well,
immediately led to a touchdown drive.
I'm looking ahead. Just want to poll y'all right quick. Looking ahead to the Bills Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium, Championship Sunday. What do y'all think the line is right now?
Kansas City favored by 2.5.
CK?
No, I'd flip that. I think it would be Bills minus 1.5.
Chiefs minus 1.5.
Mm.
I think that line moves in favor of the Chiefs, man. The Chiefs are a
Really?
better team.
No.
The Chiefs are a better football team than the Bills.
But that doesn't mean that public perception and better perception is going to be correct. If you
Yeah.
I
Have
think
you guys
people are
not
going to be
gotten
hammering
the
the Bills.
feeling that this might be Buffalo's year?
No. We would have said the same thing about Detroit, and look at what just happened.
Well, hold on a second.
These are the Bills. Those
I
are the
understand.
Lions.
I understand. The Bills are doing this in the postseason.
The
I
Lions
understand.
did it in the
Talk about
postseason
you.
last year.
It's all about magic. It's all about escaping games.
What
That's
was the
it
magic?
is.
There was nothing magical about what the Bills did
Oh,
tonight.
yes, there was. That
What
was
was the
magic,
magic?
anti-magic against Mark Andrews. Yes, there
That's what
was.
I was about to say. What did they pay? Did they cash out Mark Andrews before the game?
Listen, this stuff happens to the winning teams every year. I mean, you could. There's a laundry list of Brady games, and there's a laundry list of Mahomes games like this. It happens.
I would feel more threatened if we got the Josh Allen drive. We didn't even get a chance to look at what the Josh Allen drive would have been.
Right.
That's true.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
If Lamar ties it up 27-27, then Josh Allen goes 60 yards, they kick a field goal, win the game.
Then
They
I'm
show
taking
you
in my
something.
boots. Yeah.
Yep.
But that
Another
didn't.
pivotal moment has got to go into the first half for the Ravens. Had first and goal at the 2, and they run the ball, and then got afraid of it, and then turned a for sure thing, the most dynamic rushing offense maybe the league has ever seen, and they get afraid to run the football, and they set up for 3.
Todd Monken.
Like that. Yeah. That
You
like
can you can scare him off from running the ball even when he has one of the greatest running backs of all time in his backfield, along with the greatest rushing quarterback. You can scare Todd Monken off from running the ball. It's almost like your buddy that's playing Madden that falls into the mistakes after you stop him on first down. He stops running it for the rest of the half. Like, that's Monken. You would think he's a rookie offensive coordinator. He's like 50, 60 years old. He's been in football all of his life. I'm not sure
Hold
why.
on. This guy won 2 national championships with Georgia too. Let's keep
That's what I'm saying. He's a veteran. I'm actually like, if this was, what's the guy, Slowick with the Texans?
Yes, Bobby Slowick.
I would give him a pass. If this was one of the younger cats with the bright minds that, you know, they're generational, they're modern, they're trying to pass it all, I would give him a pass. Monken's supposed to be old school. He's supposed to be a vet. And this is the second straight year where I've seen him get scared off from the run. And this time it's not Gus Edwards, it's Derrick Henry. He didn't
Now,
handle
I would agree that their most effective drives of the game was that Henry drive where they finished it off with a touchdown.
Yes.
They completely pummeled them the entire game. And then all of a sudden, Taron Johnson goes down. Taylor Rapp was out. So they're losing a bunch of guys in that second level of the defense, and they're just pummeling it down their throat. Now, from that point, all of a sudden, Lamar makes a couple plays with his arm. He's playing well. They went down the field. They were going down the field on the Andrews fumble, and then they were going down the field and got a touchdown on the Andrews drop. So I can't necessarily pit the second half play calling, but I understand earlier in the game how it's an issue.
Now, this early in the game, this early in the recap reaction, we're thinking about the losers more so than the winners. Is this one of those kind of seasons for the Ravens where it's like, it was there to be had, and we just didn't do it this time? Like, I don't see mass changes being made. Obviously, you're never asking a question about the head coaching position or the quarterback. Monken got him there. Like Collins, he put up a pretty stellar resume of a season with the Ravens. I think you just say, well, damn, catch those balls. Don't fumble and try to juke out 6 guys as a tight end.
For 2 extra yards. Did you forget who he was? He's Mark Andrews. Like, what the hell was he thinking?
Don't turn it over. Yeah, that's the key. Don't turn it over.
And also, hey, another thing we're not talking about here, Zay Flowers. Like, he could have been a difference maker in this game as well. He doesn't have his wide receiver 1 in Zay, who's been good for him. And we got our guy SCPOV in the YouTube chat. He mentions last year the Zay Flowers fumble is the difference. This year the Mark Andrews fumble and the drop is the difference. You can't put the loss on Lamar, but sadly this is how the league works. The loss gets accredited to Lamar, and now we're talking about the Ravens and how they're going to retool.
Yeah, this is just what from the last 4 or 5 years, Lamar's problem or not. The big problem with the Ravens, in a lot of ways, is they turn the ball over quite a bit in the postseason.
Yeah.
And whether it's Lamar doing that earlier in his career or just they make mistakes. You got to play near perfect football, especially if you're in the situation where you're on the road.
Yeah.
So I can't leave, like to Christian's point about you can't retool anything. This is a reload. This is just you got to do this again. There's nothing to change.
Yeah.
There's nothing
Draft
to
a running
change. There's
back.
nothing to pay. You need probably another playmaker or two. You're going to need to replace the tight end.
Yeah.
And then, you got a new defensive coordinator who's a 32-year-old who didn't figure it out until about week 10.
Yeah.
And that's going to make a difference. But you're going on the road. It's hard to win these road games against a team that also has 13 wins that you already beat. It's hard to beat a team twice, especially a team that has 13 wins. I think this chalks up to maybe this wasn't their time. And they get burned.
Last point on this one. How bad was that defensive pass interference call, Keon Coleman, against what's the old Bills corner, Tre'Davious White, in the first quarter that led to a Bills touchdown drive? They called the DPI. It was clearly OPI.
You're talking about Nate
arm
White.
extension.
Yeah, the Clemson corner. Yes, that's
yeah.
right.
2-armed full extension. Keon Coleman, the rookie, pushes White to the ground. That's either got to be a no call or OPI. It's funny, Mr. Pom Poms Tony Romo, who's probably going to leave his wife for Allen and Mahomes' AFC Championship game. I cannot believe just how much he was silent about that one, whereas all the other things going on in the game, obviously he was playing it up for his guy. But
yeah,
C-Cat, were you pissed at that call? That was a gimme.
Didn't love the call. The replay was very damning about it. I hate it in the moment. I can't credit any result of the game to that call. Of course, it turns a 7-point drive to a 3-point drive, and we get down a rabbit hole about everything would transpire after that. It sucks, and I just kind of move on. And it's just life.
It's 35. Yeah.
Ravens play when they get here. Listen, if it's Lee Evans, if it's Billy Cundiff, if it is the Antonio Brown stretch on Christmas Day that ruined my time with my family, or maybe it's a Zay Flowers fumble at the 1-yard line. Maybe it's a Tyler Huntley fumble at the 1-yard line. Maybe it's a Mark Andrews drop at the goal line on a 2-point conversion. Maybe it's a Mark Andrews fumble at midfield. The Ravens are going to score. There happens to be one thing that is within the full control of the Ravens that they simply don't do. And it's only their fault. And that's it. Point blank, period. Like, this isn't one of those Chiefs refs conversations. It is simply a team that cannot get out of their own way, and they find creative ways to do it each and every year in the playoffs.
Now, to Buffalo's credit, I know we're all talking about the Ravens. To Buffalo's credit, that was a problem for Buffalo. Buffalo did get in their own way. They did turn the ball over, and they turned it around this year with only having 9 total turnovers and the best differential in the league by 15.
Yeah.
So to their credit, they understood what a problem was. They diagnosed an issue. How are we going to get to the next level? And they got to the root of the problem, whatever it may be, clean things up. The game slowed down for Allen a little bit. They utilized things to his strengths more. And all of a sudden, they stopped turning it over. And it's clearly with a team that probably is a little less talented than teams they've had in the past offensively.
Mm-hmm.
It's paying its dividends now, because now all of a sudden in a close game, instead of being the team that's trailing and trying to claw their way back in it, they're the team that's leading, trying to protect the lead. And it's a luxury to be in that position.
It is. And one last thought here on the AFC Championship side, and we'll give a quick reaction to the NFC games. Who would you today pick in this title game that's going to decide who goes to New Orleans for Super Bowl 59? Mahomes versus Allen. This is part 4 since 2020. We've seen this in the playoffs and the regular season over and over again. The Bills win the regular season. The Chiefs historically have won the playoff matches. Obviously, as a Chiefs fan, I'm rolling with my guys, but the other way I look at it, I look on the sideline, who do I trust more, Andy Reid or McDermott? I'm going with Reid. I look at the quarterbacks, who do I trust more in big games, Mahomes or Allen? It's close, but Patrick Mahomes has proven it year after year. The Chiefs have a better defensive unit. Offensively, we haven't seen them open it all the way up. They've been as vulnerable as they have ever been, but we've said the same thing the past couple of years. I do think the Chiefs return to the Super Bowl. It's not just the fan in me talking. It's also the person that has watched this Bills team. And though they've gotten by, again, you get +3 in the turnover margin at home against the Ravens, and you squeak by on a Mark Andrews drop. It's not a team I'm afraid of. C-Cat, Chiefs Bills in the AFC title game.
We just saw the two best teams in the NFL play just tonight. And I'm going to take the team that won that game in a fun one, 27-25, the Bills, to beat the Chiefs next week.
Colin, you feeling the same?
I alluded to it before. Part of me thinks this is Buffalo's year. And I think Magic is sort of churning in the right direction for them. Washington's a fine example of this. I think a lot of this is timing. A lot of this is being in the right place at the right time. And a lot of this is the football gods blessing you with their grace. And the way I look at it, too, is I look back at that game, that Kansas City-Buffalo game earlier in the year where Buffalo knocked them off finally for the first time, where they could beat them in the regular season. Buffalo was leading for the majority of that game. Buffalo was playing keep ahead instead of claw their way back. I think that will be a key once again, because Buffalo is shown to be very good at maintaining a lead and kind of staying ahead of the things. If they kind of fall behind, then all of a sudden you got a professional winning team against a team that knows how to win more than anybody in Kansas City playing keep ahead. That would make me nervous. But Buffalo can strike early, strike first. I think Buffalo has a real good shot at maybe doing some damage.
2 picks for the Bills. My pick stays with the Chiefs. I think the three-peat's still going to be in play, but that's just the AFC side of things. The NFC, I mean, who the hell would have saw an NFC East matchup? If I'd have told you preseason it's going to be 2 NFC East teams in the NFC Championship game, we're thinking it's Cowboys-Eagles. We're like, okay, so the Cowboys found a way to get back there with no running game, and the Eagles have been there the past 2 years. Why not? But instead, it's Jalen Hurts versus Jaden Daniels. I looked at the 4 quarterbacks left standing: Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, and Daniels. The one that we probably as a collective nation trust the least is actually the highest paid, Jalen Hurts, $51 million a year. Like, this is going to be something here in the NFC Championship game. And again, I say that not even half-heartedly. Jaden Daniels in this 1 year and in these couple of playoff games has earned my trust more than what I've seen out of Jalen Hurts. The way he handled the blitz against the Lions, winning by 14 points on the road against the number 1 seed. You talked about magic with the Commanders. The Cardiac Commanders are the most magical team. I don't care what happens in the Super Bowl. I don't care what happens
to it.
MVP.
Magic is a tool. Magic is a tool.
I do think the story of this season, no matter who wins, even if the Chiefs three-peat, the story of this season is the emergence of Jaden Daniels and the way he turned around the Commanders, a 4-win team last year that's now 2 wins away from a Super Bowl. That's crazy.
That's pretty insane. And seeing the Commanders, I'm envisioning it right now. If they defy the odds, the Commanders have the worst odds to win the Super Bowl right now.
Yeah.
But if they somehow win the NFC, and then they somehow win the Super Bowl, that Super Bowl DVD is going to start with the Hail Mary versus the Bears. It's going to start with, who was it, Tyreek Stevenson, I believe, on the Bears?
Tyreek Stevenson hyping up the crowd, talking trash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just the gnat sound of that. And then once the ball is hiked, that ball being caught in the end zone, the butterfly effect of that play. I don't think, even if mathematically the Commanders would still be in this spot, they have a chance to be in this spot, I don't think they are in this spot without that kind of just game tossed into their lap on a play like that. They certainly are one of these stories of the league in 2024, 2025. And there are few offenses left that I am more afraid of than theirs.
Yeah, that's crazy. With a rookie quarterback and God knows who catching the ball, Diami Brown and Terry McLaurin, like, those are not the household names that these other guys have had that have gotten lifted to this level. I believe, the 4th rookie quarterback to make it to the NFC Championship game. Brock Purdy, I believe, was the last one to do it. And they're 5-point dogs on the road right now. I mean, we called it this last time against the Lions. It felt brave. It felt bold. I don't know if I'm ready to call it against the Eagles, but I would not be shocked, man. I would not be shocked.
And the one thing about the Commanders, too, is if you're going to give the Eagles credit for one thing, is that they don't let teams score. And that defense is just bend, don't break. They keep you everything in front of them. They got a great defensive line. There hasn't been really many teams at all that have been able to score on them. And really, except for one as of recently, and it's the Commanders.
Yeah.
And the Commanders put up 36 points on them, I know, without Jalen Hurts, but it's still the same defense. And so because of that, I don't want to be hyperbolic, but I mean, I think it's pretty apparent at this point once you really start to boil it down. I think we're looking at the best rookie quarterback campaign in the history of the NFL.
Ever.
Right here, right now. There's nobody else that comes in comparison to it. You want to bring up Ben Roethlisberger with the number one defense, go right ahead.
No.
But in terms of what they are accomplishing and the way that they are accomplishing it, winning 2 road games now in the postseason, he's been sacked 1 time in 2 playoff games. I think that the poise, the offensive efficiency, the ability in late game situations, the story around the franchise having never done anything in the past 30 years, and then all of a sudden this clicks. I think you're looking at the most impressive rookie quarterback campaign that the NFL has ever seen. So that's going to be a tricky, I guess, blaze of fire that you're going to really have to be careful of if you're Philadelphia, because this is a defense that has seen this quarterback twice. So whatever side makes the proper adjustment here is going to be really tricky, because I'll give the Commanders credit for one thing. They out-Detroited Detroit. Going forward on 4th down. Not making crucial mistakes, that 12 men on the field late game to give them the first down. They're out-Detroiting Detroit, going at 87% on 4th down in the regular season, highest in the NFL history.
Sick.
We want to give Dan Campbell all the credit for what he does. Let's give Dan Quinn the credit too. With a rookie quarterback and basically a brand new offense. I mean, this is a really dangerous team. And, I mean, let's talk about the best quarterback in the NFC at the moment is guy in Washington.
And that's the thing. All right, so how about we say this too? Since we've turned into the new century, every single NFC team now that the Commanders have made it to the NFC Championship game, every NFC team has made it to this stage, except for the Dallas Cowboys. I think it might be time. Like, I think next year, if they don't, it's time for us to consider revoking the name America's Team. Like, it's got to be on the table. They're the seller almost now of their own division. They are irrelevant, but for all the wrong reasons. I don't even give a damn who they hire as their head coach. It's about time.
They treat the Cowboys like Rudy. Like, give them a shot. They're kind of fun. You give them a noogie, and you pass them around. Like, you just kind of, you don't take them seriously. But they're just kind of there, and they're fun to make fun of. So, you know what? Everyone's got an opinion on them. I think I'll keep the name America's Team for the Cowboys.
I don't like you saying that the Cowboys are Rudy, and I just don't like that. It's
is it the meaning to Rudy?
It's like saying Duke is the underdog. I don't really like it's. This is the Cowboys we're talking about, the highest expectations. I don't know. I'm not going to compare the Cowboys to a walk-on in Notre Dame who, scratched and clawed his way to some playing time. But, I mean, with them, America's Team, they draw the rating. It's a business. They got some issues. I wonder who they're going to get a head coach too. Because you think about it. Now you got the Cowboys open. The Bears, Raiders, and Jaguars are fighting for Johnson. All those guys are going to have to decide where they're going to go from there. Jets still have to make a decision. You got to assume both coordinators are going outward from the Lions. I mean, in terms of coaching spots,
there's only so many spots though. We keep talking about
There's only so many coaches too.
Yeah, earlier you gave Todd Monken a job. I mean, we're giving Aaron Glenn.
That's what I'm saying. So Aaron Glenn will get a job. Ben Johnson will get a job. Maybe Pete Carroll will get a job.
There's not enough jobs. Where are all these jobs?
Raiders, Jets, Jaguars, Dallas Cowboys, the Saints, the Bears. That's 6. That's 7 right there. So I'm just saying.
Right. I'll give you that. Well,
I'm just saying.
Did Ben Johnson hurt himself at all by dialing up a Jameson Williams?
Who are we looking at? Ben Johnson, 500 yards of offense with a quarterback who had 4 turnovers, an offense that had 4 turnovers. I'm not. He's okay. Aaron Glenn is the one who I think takes a knock. Aaron Glenn, can we take him out of the Hall of Fame? They scored every drive. Every single drive.
They're on the 4th stringers.
It doesn't matter. Hold on. So a week ago, in week 18, when they were going against the Vikings, and he dialed up a perfect game plan, kept Arnold on his butt the entire game, we wanted to, throw a parade for Aaron Glenn and the great job he did. But the second that it doesn't work and they get burned, it's because of the 4th stringers and no longer because of Aaron Glenn. That's not very fair to go both sides like that.
To be fair, he thought if I just keep blitzing a rookie quarterback, I can get out of this thing alive. But he realized very early on, he should have realized this is not your typical rookie.
No.
Did you see that guy break his arm Who was that? The defensive back who got his
Amik
arm pinned and
Robertson.
he just
Yes, Amik Robertson.
Oh
Like broke his
yeah.
elbow. Oh,
I was watching that thing at a
Oh, that's
dinner on my. I was that guy with his phone up with the game going at a very very elegant fancy dinner out in Boca. I felt ashamed until like about I'd say 10 minutes into the dinner. There's a crowd of fellas behind me like watching it as well. I was like, all right, we're good. I won't be ostracized here.
oh, you're the resident guy's guy. Like you've got the plug to the
I,
game that everyone else just wish they were watching right now.
yeah,
now, if Washington's getting all these points in that NFC title game in Philadelphia and a team they've already played, will you take Washington with the points?
+5. I would try to wait. I want to see if people will bet up the Eagles and we can get it to like 6.5. Like I'd feel a little better.
Hurts looks so immobile in like the third quarter, early fourth quarter. When his legs were taken out and his knee buckled, he looked like washed up Ben Roethlisberger. Like that's how stoic. He's like a statue in the pocket he was. That's why he got taken down for a safety in that game. Because when you take away the legs to Jalen Hurts, he is extraordinarily average. Like he is just kind of a basic quarterback. The difference maker with him is being able to extend the play and actually tuck the ball and run.
Yeah, and the weather stunk too, so that doesn't help either.
Who do you trust more in this game? It's the NFC Championship game. Who would you rather like? It's the fourth quarter. It's a one possession game. Who are you more threatened by if they have the ball and they're about to drive down the field? Jaden Daniels or Jalen Hurts?
There's an easy answer to this, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
There's an easy answer here. Yes.
And with that being said, nobody's throwing their mortgage on a Nick Sirianni coach team. It's not like you're expecting this guy to make the right decisions or the same moves. Like Dan Quinn, I would feel better about in the big spot too. There's a lot of reasons to be on the Commanders once again. It just feels like at some point the magic's got to run out, right? Like it can't keep happening.
You know how we talk about how Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow are undefeated in hypotheticals? In every hypothetical situation, those two quarterbacks are always getting it done. I saw something great today where it was like the Eagles in hypothetical situations are 0-16. Like they are the worst team in hypothetical situations because we have to figure out ways to justify why we feel negatively about the Eagles because we always finish watching Philadelphia games with a bad taste in our mouth about the team that won the game. And I'm getting sick and tired of it because I know Philadelphia fans and I'm tired of hearing about it and they're spoiled and they're entitled even though it's just one Super Bowl, but they just keep winning. They have kind of a dollar store Chiefs mentality out of them where they're just winning and it's ugly. And they're
so good at closing a game too because it's ugly and then Saquon busts out a huge run and the game is over. And it happens every single week.
And that's the running back position, the revival of the running back position here. And that's the one reason why you might feel the worst about the Chiefs of the remaining 4 teams in it because they might have the worst running back group out of the final 4 here with Pacheco. What's left of him, he's been not the same since the injury, and Kareem Hunt, who gets the most of the carries, most of the touches, but he's a little bit washed past his prime. I like the Washington backfield. Obviously, Jaden Daniels' legs adds another dimension for the defense to add to, and then you got Saquon Barkley there, who's like a demon. James Cook was making everybody missed. He looks like a top 5 back too. Like that's an important position again. Extremely.
I think and when you're paying your X Factor money, you can pay your guys that are on the defensive line to have that unit the most. I would say that the defensive line of the Eagles might be the most dominant unit remaining in the playoffs. Like I think
defensive line for the Eagles
have that flaw. Yeah, I think that they were the best unit.
Yeah, the Buffalo offensive line is up there as well.
I would say the Bills O-line. I would say the Bills
O-line is a bunch of animals.
Yeah. Bills O-line, I would take for the.
I mean, this is an aside, but that last Ravens drive, did you see the Ravens offensive line bullying the defensive line?
Yeah, they were gassed.
They were tired.
That might be a problem against the Chiefs. If you're giving Patrick Mahomes that amount of time and Travis Kelce that amount of time just to float around in a soft spot of the zone, they're going to convert every single third down.
He had all day. That was it. And if they lose, what's his name, Taron Johnson, their slot corner for an extended period of time, and then if Taylor Rapp's out for an extended period of time and they're down in the secondary, they're going to have a lot of problems because all the Chiefs have is speed, and speed can get schemed open. And if it's a bunch of backups, you're going to get killed.
Yeah. And also, Ed Oliver, you touch Patrick Mahomes like that, you'll be walking out of the game in handcuffs. Like the way that he
Oh
went
yeah, the
got
late
Lamar
hit.
Jackson out of bounds. So it's just like there's certain things that ain't gonna fly at Arrowhead that they got away with at home. And I do think again, those are the several reasons why. I know that y'all feel like the Bills have the magic here. Do you really actually feel like outside of the magic of this might be their year, outside of you feeling down on the Chiefs because they played a lot of close games? Just on paper, who do you think has the better team, the better units on both sides?
Between the Bills
The
and the
Bills and the
Chiefs right
Chiefs on
now.
the AFC side. On the NFC side, it's
Roster for
clear the Eagles have the better roster, but we
yeah.
don't believe in them. We don't trust them. I think it's closer.
I would trust that Commanders offense more than I trust that Eagles offense. Eagles have a lot of splash factor. They probably have
Yeah,
the best player on the field. But in terms of methodical, beat him down, consistent over the game, I would take that Commander offense over what I'm seeing from the Eagle offense.
crazy to say.
I would, but like in terms of actual execution, I think that no huddle style is really putting teams on their back heels. Like it's really hard to stay in front of them. It's a different type of offense. Whatever.
Yeah.
Back to the other point.
Jaden Daniels is the MVP, by the way. He's the real MVP.
Yeah, I mean, can you really, Theo? I know you're a Chiefs fan, but let's be real for a second.
Yeah.
Do you seriously watch that game? And even as a fan, I would be sick of this because I think everybody is just sick of the Chiefs, not only because they're winners, they're professional winners, but because they, without a doubt, get every call known to man. I'm not saying it decided the game, but every time there's a call to be had, the Chiefs get it. And it's an absolute
calls,
nightmare
though?
to deal with.
I would say this. The Chiefs have gotten favorable calls in big spots. A lot of teams do, but in the Texans game, I found it ridiculous that was all Joe Mixon and D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud and everybody and Will Anderson were crying about afterwards because the Texans beat themselves. The refs didn't beat the Texans. The Chiefs didn't even really do a lot or enough to beat them outside of restricting them from scoring and converting on those drives. But what calls changed that game?
No. The one thing I'll say too is it's classic Chiefs. This is like Brady. It's classic Chiefs that the previous 49 teams who out yards their opponent by 100 plus did not turn the ball over either.
Well, what calls?
Hold
what
on.
calls
40,
did that?
49-0, Theo. 49-0. And of course, it's Kansas City to be the beneficiary.
Is that not a nod to the Chiefs' defense for bend don't break?
Of course, we know how good defensively they are, but it's every single
What do you
year.
want them to do?
Theo,
do you want them to forfeit?
Every single year. We're sick of it. We're sick of it. The fans are done.
All right, name a call.
Every year.
Name a call that changed that game.
They get everything that falls their way.
I
don't know what they do or who they made a deal with, but it wasn't legal, and here they are. And
Taylor Swift. What do you mean? Who the Keon Coleman call? The DPI on Keon Coleman that gave the Bills a 1st and goal from the 2 in this game. That was bigger than any call that happened in the Chiefs-Texans game. Give me one call that went in the Chiefs' favor that was bigger than that call that turned into a touchdown.
It was a 3rd and 8 on the first drive of the game from the Kansas City 33.
Yeah.
And Mahomes had a complete incompletion down the field to Travis Kelce, and they got points out of it. So there's one. And the other
what
one.
Happened on that? What was the call?
I understand. 1st and 10 on like the Kansas City 37. And that's when Mahomes dropped down. And they called the roughing the passer when they grazed the top of their helmet.
They made contact.
That was a 20 yards right there, and they ended up scoring a touchdown on that drive.
So I'm not saying they should have called it, but y'all are acting like it wasn't actually a call that could have been made. That like he actually did hit him with his helmet to helmet.
Theo. Everybody in the booth was groaning when that call was made.
I also didn't like it. I also didn't like that call, but be honest too, if that call doesn't go in favor of the Chiefs, so the Texans going to win that game, they couldn't get points.
Yeah, you're right. And I said that immediately. This did not change the game.
Yeah.
It didn't win or lose the game, but it's every year. It's every year. Every call, every game, every year.
It is so overblown. You know the Chiefs are the most penalized team since 2018.
That's fine. They can get their false starts and their illegal shifts all they want. They get the roughing the passers.
It is objectively not true.
They get the unnecessary roughnesses. They get the pass interferences. They get the big ones.
But it's not just the fact that they get them. It's that it is a part of the Patrick Mahomes playbook to bait for them. We all saw him try to draw the flag on this. Don't give me that. Don't give me that. 2 rights or 2 wrongs don't make a right. Just because one guy does it does not make it right for the other guy to do it. And one guy's got Super Bowls, and one guy is a little bit, I don't know, has higher standards. He shouldn't stoop that low. He
Who?
shouldn't be that desperate. Patrick Mahomes, the one with the Super Bowls,
Oh,
should
you're
not
saying he
be
should not be
baiting in
flopping.
a division round playoff game against the Houston Texans. Yeah, he should not be doing that.
Yes, Justin, we can see the
That is the
comments, by the
part.
way. Sorry. It got a little heated. They started attacking my Chiefs. Sorry about that, Justin. We can't see the comments. And I will say this, though. You, as much as you want to criticize Mahomes for doing that, it's not like he's doing that and then also not making plays and relying strictly on the refs to win these games for him. He's making immaculate plays. He's extending drives himself as well. If guys are boneheaded enough, like the Bengals were in the playoffs, to hit him when he's 2 steps out of bounds already, you're going to get that flag thrown on you. If guys are boneheaded enough, like on the Juju Smith-Schuster holding call against the Eagles in the Super Bowl, he beat him on that route, and he held Juju. You either let him score the touchdown or you hold him. And I'm sorry that the flag had to get involved. I think after all those years of me complaining about the Patriots getting the benefit of the flag and the Chris Jones roughing the passer that happened in the AFC Championship game in 2018, Chiefs versus Patriots, that was crazy. After all of that, like, why can't the Chiefs have their turn anyways? Why are we so mad at Patrick Mahomes? By the way, that didn't even get called. This flop didn't get
Yeah,
called.
It was funny
that's the
because
problem.
that happened. Everybody's pissed off at Mahomes for baiting that call. And the next play, he has that outrageously cool
Yes.
play to Travis Kelce in the end zone when he's falling over. Oh, my God. You're like, this
So
is.
what
I understand.
are you gonna do?
Yeah, we know how good he is. We know how good. Nobody's denying this. We know how good he is. The
He's a winner,
problem
man.
is they get every single call. And to Christian's point, he's right about this. Getting penalties is in the game plan. Not even for Mahomes, for everybody. And you're right. That's what winners do. That's what Belichick did for years. So I understand that. But when it's a part of the game plan, you cannot blame people for getting sick of this. You cannot blame people
I'm okay with.
for
I
getting
don't like it
annoyed.
either. I don't like it either. But I will say that the great ones are doing it. The great ones have done it. Brady did it. Even your guy Josh Allen, he does it. He flops a lot. He baits for calls. He begs for calls
It
after
helps the
plays
game.
all the
Yes.
time.
Rodgers did it for years too. Like they
Yeah.
were pretty smart about this. Like I understand, but you can't blame us for being a little annoyed and a little sick of what we're seeing in Kansas City. That's why I was rooting because weirdly enough, I think Buffalo, because of the idea that they don't get in their own way, they don't make mistakes,
Yeah.
and they've beaten them in the regular season. I think Buffalo has a better chance to beat Kansas City anyway. So
Oh my
off of that,
God.
I was rooting for Buffalo just because I think this is their year.
But
And so
here's
that was my basis of why I rooted for them. Go
The
ahead.
Ravens are a better team than the Bills, man. I would have been more afraid of the Ravens. I feel so comfortable having the Bills
How
walk in
many
the Arrowhead
teams with
Stadium.
great offenses have the Chiefs faced over the years? And it really didn't make a difference. To beat them, you almost got to like do the savvy things right.
Yeah.
You're not going to be
Yeah.
the best offense on the field and out offense them. That's just not how you beat them.
The only unit that the Bills have that are better than the Chiefs is their offensive line, and it's kind of marginal. The Chiefs still have like a top 10 line. I just
And-
that team does not frighten me. It's just
The quarterback doesn't frighten you?
there's not a lot of teeth there. I mean, the bubble screens, yeah, they're very
Hold on.
threatening.
Okay. No, now we're not. I'm not going to deal with this because
What?
if there's one person who, other than Burrow, who has been able to at least swing with Patrick Mahomes, it's been Allen. Come on, let's be fair.
I'm not saying the guy's not great. I'm not saying he's going to have a bad game at Arrowhead. I'm just saying, like, if it's going to be a battle, if what the Bills are relying on is Josh Allen outplaying Patrick Mahomes, then give me the Chiefs. Now, if the Bills had other units that were stronger right now, that were a little more healthy, the defense got even more banged up, I would feel more threatened. The Ravens are elite at so many levels. That defensive line, that front seven, Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins looked good as a rookie. On offense, you would have had Zay Flowers likely coming back by then. You have Derrick Henry. There are a lot of threats on the Ravens to actually be afraid of. Now, of course, they also get in their own way. Bonehead penalties,
And that's
big
what doesn't
drops,
beat the
big
Chiefs.
fumbles.
That's how you lose to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You need a team that kind of plays on their level. That's why Cincinnati was able to catch them. Because Cincinnati didn't necessarily get in their own way either. They capitalized when they should. They're situationally a good football team. That's what Buffalo is. Buffalo is situationally a good football team.
Who's going to make the plays for them? Who's going to make the plays on the road for the Bills?
They won 13 games. They've won 2 playoff games. Somebody's going to do something. I mean, at a certain point, this is not.
Mark Andrews ain't going to be out there to save them.
They didn't drop him out of the sky, and all of a sudden we're going to have to figure this out. Theo, this team's won 15 games this year. I mean, come on.
Hey, Mark Andrews ain't gonna save him. Instead of Mark Andrews, it's gonna be Travis Kelce, man. Instead of Rashad Bateman, it's gonna be DeAndre Hopkins. It's gonna be Xavier Worthy. Like that is a better football team they're gonna be going up against. I love the fact that the Bills have the hype. That means I get to get the Chiefs at a good number here on Hard Rock Bet. I'm not mad at it. All I'm saying is, why are we being fooled? We've seen this. This is the back-to-back champs who came back in better this year.
Would you be more afraid of the Eagles or the Commanders if they beat and this is the Commanders had they beat the Eagles in their building? There's an answer to this too. There's a good answer.
I gotta be honest.
You want nothing to do with the Commanders, dude.
I don't want to play. I don't want the Commanders. Give me the Eagles 3 times over. It's something about if the Commanders, especially if they make the Super Bowl, there's something about the volatility of like those dudes with nothing to lose. Absolutely nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
Versus the Eagles, who have chemistry issues. They've had them since the offseason. They had them since the Super Bowl. Like they have a erratic head coach. They have a quarterback that can be figured out. I don't think there's a real answer for Jaden Daniels yet. Like I haven't seen it. So I would be more threatened by the Commanders, as funny as that sounds. And again, just last year, they scraped their way to 4 wins. This is a wonky NFL season. I'm telling you, Jaden Daniels is the story of it. Even if the Chiefs three-peat, we're going to be talking about what happened in D.C. this year.
Am I wrong in thinking that the AFC is leagues above the NFC?
I mean, no, you're not wrong.
Here's my takeaway, and based on my read on that, because I do think there's something to that. AFC has better quarterbacks. I think the NFC probably has a little better rosters.
Yeah,
a little better put together, more little offensive firepower, but worse quarterbacks, like substantially worse quarterbacks. AFC has got like gods playing quarterbacks all over the place.
Yeah,
but their rosters are not as good. The Buffalo roster is not as good.
I just feel like if we were to line up whoever wins the AFC versus the NFC, that's the Super Bowl. Whoever's the runner-up in the AFC versus NFC, and you go down the list, 3rd best, 4th best in every conference, it would be like a 7-1 swing. AFC, the best of the AFC is far superior to the best of the NFC, and I don't think it's even close. I think the 3 best teams in the NFL are on the AFC, but I think that's kind of commonly known throughout the league right now, and it's certainly known now after seeing the Lions of last night bounce in the way they did. And a lot of that's because of the health issues with the Lions. But I see major leagues versus minor leagues.
We saw it again, the ceiling of Goff. We saw it again.
Yeah, he was terrible. He was awful.
He's in the perfect ecosystem to win. He was playing in a dome with the offensive coordinator that everybody wants to hire as their head coach, with weapons all over the field, with one of the best offensive lines. And he can't make the throws. He can't extend plays.
Yeah, he was frazzled.
I don't know what you do about Jared Goff if you're the Lions.
There's nothing to do about it because he put together a great regular season and you have at least gotten to the NFC Championship with him. But I agree that was not a pleasing performance. In your building, you can't give up. Now, one thing, I understand a lot of this has to do with the turnover. You can't give up 45 points off a bye. You can't do it.
No.
Every big drive of the game, every big drive after the interception return for a touchdown, 24-14, Lions run down the field and scores an excellent drive. Then all of a sudden, a huge drive for the Commanders. They go right down the field and score. And the second time around, when it was a 1-possession game too, and a 15-play, 8-minute drive for the Commanders, you cannot let this happen defensively as well. So I can't put it all on Goff, but he's a big problem.
They were missing, and I just have to give them a little bit of an excuse. Yeah, Justin just said it in the YouTube chat here. The Lions had 17 injuries. They were missing their best defender, the heart and soul of that defense, and Aiden Hutchinson. They were missing guys all throughout the secondary. And, like, when you come in that banged up against a team that's that hot, Cliff Kingsbury coached a hell of a game. Jaden Daniels, he had, 69% completion percentage, the best ever in a rookie season for a quarterback. Like, I can't blame it on the defense all the way. When you gave the ball away 4 times, Jared Goff, we don't pay you $50 million to give the ball away 4 times in the biggest game of the year.
Totally true. And there's something to be said that every time Jahmyr Gibbs touches the ball, I wonder why David Montgomery is under contract there. Why is he getting the ball at all? Every time Gibbs touches the ball, it is a 15-yard gain, and it is unbelievable.
Is that Barry Sanders? Like, did Barry Sanders come back for one more year?
What are they doing with Montgomery? Get him off the field. You're wasting your time. The first drive of the game is always with Montgomery. Get him off the field. I don't need it.
I get it. Campbell loves him. He's a between the tackles guy. He's again one of those heart and soul guys, good character guy, the veteran. They love him. They love the way he runs. Gibbs is so explosive. And again, I just if you're the Lions right now, how do you possibly feel good coming back next year? Dan Campbell's at the podium crying. There's very little. I bet you they won't be chanting Jared Goff
And a lot
like
of
they
your
was chanting
staff,
Jared
a lot
Goff
of
at
your
the draft.
management is going to be plucked because you're going to have Ben Johnson probably bring a Lions guy with him. Aaron Glenn's going to bring a couple guys with him. You're going to have to replenish that entire coaching staff.
Yeah.
Let's see what
'Cause
you're really
everybody
made
gets
of,
a
Dan
job.
Campbell. Like, is it really like, is this an Eagle situation where it's the coordinators that are really making that machine run in Philadelphia, which I believe is pretty much the main belief among both Eagles fans and across the league that Nick Sirianni is just kind of the PR person? That could be the situation in Detroit to a T. It could be
We'll
those
find
two
out.
heads as coordinators making this thing work, and Dan Campbell is just a rah-rah good speech guy, which I love, don't get me wrong. But you got to like win football games too.
Here, can I say something about that though? We'll see next year, number one. Number two, those are Campbell hires, right? So
It's a
just like
leadership.
with-
It's a trickle-down effect. Yeah, it's a trickle-down.
and
Starts
just like
him.
with Sirianni, like Campbell set a great culture. Campbell, created this aura in which the Lions feel is boisterous and confident. I mean, they got guys humping the end zone down by 2 touchdowns and
He's
stuff.
a god. He's a god to those players. He's
Yeah.
a god to those players. He's a deity.
I don't see it being. I feel like he's a really good CEO coach. He's a Mike Tomlin. I guess Nick Sirianni is technically that, but again, Sirianni didn't hire the new coordinators that failed him. He doesn't even have the hiring power there. What is he good at? Eagles fans have yet to tell me what Nick Sirianni is actually good at. And if you can tell me right now in the chat, please enlighten me, because the dude, what is he good at? Crying, arguing with fans.
Wins games.
I guess
Clock management he's not good at.
starting a book club on his own sideline.
You got to know, if you wanted to be a head coach, you got to know how to encourage a grown up. You got to know how to hire people, and you got to know how to call a timeout at the right time. That's all you have to do. It's just
It could be that easy. It can be that simple. But
and nowadays they've got people on the sideline that they look over their shoulder, and the analytic guys tell them, "Call it now, call it now." Okay, yeah, do it now. Like that should be taken out of their hands. It should be
really
one person's job.
They don't have it down. It's incredible.
It's being an NFL head coach kind of easy. Look, 888-760-3776. It's being no, I do think though Sirianni, there's nothing that I see that he does that the next guy can't. That's why when people say Deion Sanders, I laugh at the fact of him going to the NFL, because I don't think that's an actual move that a franchise would want to make, nor should Deion want to make that right now in his career. He's also not getting his son to play quarterback for the Cowboys. But like, if Sirianni can do it, Deion Sanders can do it.
Sirianni's also got great management, great ownership. It's a well-run organization. They replenish. They hit on every draft pick. They don't miss on draft picks. Since Rager, if you go through like their first day 1 and day 2 picks, they've hit on nearly all of them. It's incredible how well they draft.
Sirianni doesn't have anything to do with that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like, what's his name? Howie.
Yeah. And you know who I got to give credit
Russo,
to? Because talk about a team that knows how to reload in that sense is McVay and the Rams. And McVay is involved in the draft process. Every year, they have like 3 or 4 rookies starting all over the field. And every year, they're still in the mix. I know that wasn't an easy game for them to win in that snow biome for a team that's great at running the ball. But they had a chance to win the game at the end of the day. I got a lot of respect for the Rams. I love the way they do things. Stafford made a couple mistakes, but at the end of the day, I think in terms of I'm going to take the quarterback, Stafford's coming up pretty early on. If I'm drafting quarterbacks to start for me for a year, Stafford's coming up pretty early.
I mean, how many more years of this do we have?
Right.
Yeah.
How many more years?
Maybe 1 or 2. Theo, you put it out on Twitter earlier today how you do not like snow games. You think when the weather impacts the action on the field, it's a negative thing for football. Yes. Colin, do you agree?
I don't. I think we don't get enough snow games for it to be an actual complainable problem, because snow games happen single digit. You can count on one hand times a year. It happens 4 or 5 times a year. Own it, embrace it. That's football.
That's my problem. What you just said is my problem. They happen a couple times a year in the most pivotal weeks of the season. So you're telling me we're playing this beautiful brand of football. Schematically,
Dude,
we have
go
these
watch the Arena Football League if you want this week in and week out. Go watch that. All right, you want to watch that? Watch the national championship tomorrow. That corporate event with a $1,500 to just get into a seat where you need binoculars to see the field. And tell me about feel comparatively to a snow biome game in Philadelphia when everybody's riled up. I mean, there's a feel difference, right?
Because I'm sure the tickets are real cheap to get into the link. Like
fair, but at least it's in the city. Yeah, at least it's in the city.
No, all right. So wait, here's my problem. Kurt Warner talked about it too, and I retweeted this. I don't know when this happened, when he talked about it. Like, if you are playing football games in one certain condition all year long, and just because the Buffalo Bills earned home field, or my favorite team, the Kansas City Chiefs, earned home field, and they have reps and real practice being able to brave the elements for multiple weeks, for multiple days, for multiple games, why should they be provided that kind of an advantage in the playoffs? Like, in a win-or-go-home scenario, we're now including in Mother Nature into the cause. It just doesn't make sense. I think that snow specifically is my big fault. Like, if it's rain, I'm cool with it. Rain happens everywhere. If it's cold, I'm cool with it. But snow on the ground that literally alters the playing field that you're playing on, there's no other sport in which that flies, especially not in the postseason. But football, they embrace it like a bunch of idiots. If we had a snow blow, like what was the 49ers Bills game? The snow globe game. If we had something like that in the postseason, I would absolutely turn my TV off. It's ridiculous.
You wouldn't turn your TV. That's a lie. And baseball is impacted by the weather every single year. It's a different game because the ball doesn't carry as much. Like you see Robinson Cano in his baklava where you can only see his eyes. Baseball is affected by the weather and
the terrain in which you are playing on. No, I guess baseball is kind of played through the air because the ball travels. So you're right. But like I'm talking about being able to run, cut, stop. Like some of those turnovers likely don't happen for your Ravens tonight, if not for the snow.
Here's the thing. Football is played in those environments all throughout the country at young ages. So this is not something that's completely foreign because the kids are not playing in domes. You're playing outdoors until you're 18 years old. So it's just not like all of a sudden the second they should get into collegiate level, they should play in controlled environments for the rest of their lives. Because the cuts look a little better. I think this is fun. It adds a little bit to the traditional value. It's like the baseball stadiums being different sizes. They cater to different needs. Yeah, it applies an advantage, but this is a good thing. No one, the Bills earned home field. They get to host Miami. Yeah, damn right it's going to be cold. Damn right it's going to suck for Miami. Yeah, so that's part of the reason why you work so hard the regular season.
Not football, man.
I think I understand it now because Theo sees the abominable snowman coming to Kansas City next week. Josh Allen lining up in the shotgun. He's terrified of that.
Josh Allen.
He's terrified of that.
Oh, really? I'm terrified of 16 for 22 with 130 yards. I'm terrified of probably 2 air yards per throw. You saw what Josh Allen in the Bills did against the Chiefs last year.
Football per you, and a win over.
Terrified. The Bills are a win because Mark Andrews gave them the game away multiple times. The Bills are terrified of Josh Allen throwing the game away.
No, they're not.
Yes,
because
they are. Joe
50
Brady
touchdowns this year, and
Joe Brady
touchdowns. Yeah.
All of his touchdowns are like this. All of Josh Allen's throws are right here.
Oh, that's crap.
We could complete those. He has this big.
Dude, he's throwing to you and me out there. I mean, let's see.
I like to think we're pretty good.
Okay.
All I'm saying is sure. Abominable snowman Josh Allen. He's a great short yardage quarterback. All of that hoopla. Show me, man. Because he hasn't yet. I haven't seen anything that threatened me.
What are you talking? He showed you this season to end the Chiefs' undefeated streak. He did show you just like that. In the crappy weather conditions, you had a front row seat for that in prime time.
And do you know what's happened every single year Josh Allen and the Bills have beaten the Chiefs in the regular season?
What happened?
The Chiefs win the Super Bowl.
Okay. How many
and they beat the Bills in the playoffs.
How many of those years were this year's Chiefs team and this year's Bills team?
All right, answer me this. Are the Chiefs better this year than they were last year?
No.
Really? How not? What did they get worse?
I would say Patrick Mahomes actually played worse football between this year and last year.
So Mahomes is the person that has gotten worse So the Chiefs did not improve at all anywhere else, though they've added Worthy and Hopkins, though Kelsey's playing a little
They
bit
let
better
Snead
playoff time of
walk.
year.
There's pieces in places where they didn't. They let people
But
go.
I'm saying, are the Chiefs better or worse from last year? The record's way better.
I
They're
would
the
say
one
it's probably
seed.
negligible. I would say they're probably. I would say they're. Hold on a second. They
What are we
escaped
doing,
against the Raiders.
guys?
Hold on. They escaped against the Raiders on Black Friday. They didn't. They shouldn't have
They
beaten
lost to the
Denver.
Raiders last year. That's an
Hold on.
improvement.
They shouldn't have beaten Denver on the blocked field goal.
Yes, they should have. They blocked the damn field goal. What do you want?
Dude, that nobody blocks more field goals than Kansas City, and it drives me up the wall. And it's.
I think that if you're watching right now, and you are watching because we're not on 106.3, so you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, look for the Bills alternate line. Look for a Bills minus 13.5, because I think you're going to have value in that. I think we are finally going to see the dam open up. We've seen the chinks in the armor. We've seen the issues all season long with the Chiefs. And finally, they're going to face a team that has the firepower in a big moment to end this once and for all. This 2020 Steelers type season for the Chiefs, it comes to an end at 6:30 on CBS next week.
I just asked y'all to explain to me where the Chiefs have gotten worse and maybe where the Bills have gotten better, and I just have yet to hear any proof of it. I think y'all are hope casting. You sound like Tony Romo and Dan Orlovsky. I just want y'all to give me something.
Theo, the Bills don't turn the ball over nearly as much, like a third of the amount they did last year.
The Chiefs have not turned the ball over in nine straight games.
That's fine, but nobody turns the ball over less than the Bills. So the
Bills,
no,
it's hard to get less than 0, but yes, keep going.
They had 9 turnovers in the year, so there's that. The Bills just don't turn the ball over. Their offensive line is better. Josh Allen's probably playing the best complete football of his career, and it's a better team comparatively than from the Bills side, comparatively what the Chiefs saw last year. So the Chiefs escaped last year. They beat them, but they escaped, and the Bills have gotten better. I think that's without a doubt.
Did the Bills not escape tonight?
No, because they led the entire time.
They escaped.
They led for the entire time, other than 5 minutes in the first.
3 turnovers, 2 of them wonky. You have a missed 2-point conversion because of a Mark Andrews drop. The first missed 2-point conversion because Todd Monken is getting too cute when he has Derek freaking Henry in his backfield.
It's always somebody else's fault. I understand this would work today, but with you, it's never Lamar's fault.
I blame Lamar for the interception too. I say he's culpable. He didn't play a perfect game, but he played damn well. That touchdown leading drive in the end
today. Because they did exactly what they were supposed to do. How many times could you say that the Chiefs? I even said it 5 minutes ago. The Chiefs escaped.
You discredited them.
Hold on.
When they blocked the field goal.
I said the Chiefs escaped about 5 times this year. Why do they do that? Why do they do that more than anybody else? Is because they're professional winners. The Bills are finally learning how to win, and that is a skill. It is an attribute. It's a tool. It's something that you actually have to learn how to be good at. It's what took. Brady is better than anybody else at doing that. Russell Wilson was actually really good at that too. They know how to win games. And it's almost like any way, somehow, some way, you figure it out. Bills are starting to learn how to do that. That's why I can't say they escaped, because it wasn't a bad call. It wasn't a flag. It was the other team not knowing how to win a big game.
Yeah. The Ravens didn't know how to win a big game. I'm not sure why you would think, after you sang all those praises for the Chiefs just now about how they're professional winners, they know how to win big games, they escape all the time. But for some reason, against the team that has, you said, gotten worse since last year, outside of the lack of turnovers, you think they beat the Chiefs on the road?
No.
The playoffs.
The Bills are better than we were last year. The Chiefs are probably a little better too. But it's a football game. This doesn't happen. The Chiefs are not beating somebody 10 times out of 10 times. You just need one.
How about 16 out of 18?
It's fine. Just need one.
Just need one. I got you. Again, you sound like you're hope casting. CCAT, you're talking about an alternate line.
I'm hoping. Of course I'm goddamn hoping. I'm so sick of the Chiefs. I'm so sick of it. Of course I'm hoping. Of course the Chiefs should be favored. Of course they're better than them. But better than them does not mean you're going to beat them every time.
This is true. I agree with you. It is possible that the Bills can win the game. I just don't think that they're the better team, and I do believe that Patrick Mahomes is the better quarterback still, and he might just have better weapons around him right now as well. Like, that's kind of slept on. He's going into this game with an offensive advantage over the Bills and a depleted defense.
Yeah, the offensive line is better for Buffalo than Kansas City. Kansas City's offensive line is still good, especially interior. But
the tackles
Buffalo
are terrible. That could be where the Bills get after him. Von Miller against those tackles.
Yeah, the tackles are not good. And but Buffalo, at least Allen's going to be protected. He's going to be throwing it once again to you, me, and C-Cat over at receiver. So
Khalil Shakir is good. Khalil
Shakir is good. The rest of them stink. Oh my God, the rest of them stink. Kincaid is good too.
Keon Coleman's good at drawing penalties. So
yeah.
Curtis
Samuel, really?
Hey, this guy's a baller. You put the ball in his hands, man. He's a playmaker.
Right.
So we have our picks. Then I'm going Super Bowl picks on the way out the door here. I'll go Chiefs. I'll go the Chiefs over the Eagles. I think we get a repeat. I don't. Actually, you know what? Screw it. I'm going Chiefs Commanders. Commanders.
Honestly, I would be excited for any of the Super Bowls except for that first option that you mentioned. Like, I don't want the Chiefs to win. Yeah, I don't want to see Chiefs Eagles. See that.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I'm pulling for Chiefs Commanders here. I do believe it's actually very plausible, and I think that part of it is going to be the again, this time of year, it matters to all be on one accord. This time of year, it matters to have the right kind of leadership and decision making. I feel like I feel more confident in the chemistry, in the coaching, and also in the quarterback for the Commanders. Though the Eagles should win, I'm going Commanders Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs win get the three-peat.
I look at my preseason Super Bowl pick, and in one conference, things didn't go well. That's no mistake. I mean,
can you make
the Chicago Bears was not a good call. That I was actually thinking of 2026.
Oh my God, you said the Bears.
I said they would represent the NFC.
He picked the wrong rookie.
So I had that off, but I did pick the Bills to not only represent the AFC, but to win the Super Bowl. And I'm going to stick with that, not because I want to stick with my pick, but because I truly and honestly, wholeheartedly believe it more so now than I did then. The Bills have proven to be the best team in football. The Bills will win the AFC. The NFC, coach quarterback. I trust Quinn. I trust Jaden more so than I do Jalen and Nick Sirianni. That defense and Jalen Carter and Cooper DeJean and Quinshawn are very dangerous. They kind of showed a little bit of flaws, but that's a couple of good receivers and a veteran quarterback against that. I'll take the Commanders. And maybe that, I think, honestly, my pick for the Commanders is more of a hope cast than you believe my confidence in the Bills. I just can't see picking the Eagles. I picked against the Eagles a lot. I thought that the Eagles were going to win today. I was hoping they didn't. But I honestly, if I were to actually bet my hard-earned money on a money line between the two, I would go with the Commanders. Yeah. I think Jaden Daniels has all the wind beneath his sails, and I'll take a Bills-Commanders Super Bowl.
I'm with you on that. Bills-Commanders, magic is a tool, momentum is a tool. And I think that is something that favors those two teams. You know, Theo's not giving the Bills any credit. They've beaten the Ravens. They've beaten the Chiefs. They've beaten the Lions. They've beaten everybody. So at some point, something's going to have to give. We're going to have to change our tune on what we think about the Bills. But I understand. They're a little conservative today. Totally understand.
Show me in the playoffs. I'll just say, show me in the playoffs against the Chiefs.
What happened 2 hours ago?
Show me in the playoffs against the Chiefs. Josh Allen has this he has this great playoff record. All of that's in the wild card round, really. Like this is his second win post wild card round today. Just show me against the Chiefs. Show me against the team that's not going to beat itself. The Ravens beat themselves tonight. They were the better football team.
All right.
They beat themselves.
All right.
The Chiefs ain't doing that.
We know that the Chiefs beat the Bills.
I'm just saying. I'm just telling you. Well, here's the thing, though. We all watched these games, and I'm just keeping it G. I know I'm a fan as well, so I'm leaning in on it, but I'm keeping it G. Like, given the history of these two teams playing, it's hard for me to say the Bills will be better.
Right. But from right now,
yeah,
I think that magic momentum is a tool. It's useful. I think it will be a factor. And I think timing and the moment are real things in the NFL. It's all about timing. You got to be in the right place at the right time, and everything's got to tune up. The stars have to align.
Yeah.
So from that,
the stars.
I would take the Bills. because I'm so sick of the Chiefs. And the Commanders, that's actually like stars a lot. Like something is in that stadium, something is in that uniform. I don't know what it is. All these teams have devil magic worked in the black mat, the voodoo, every single one of them. Because the Eagles win ugly, the Commanders win somehow, some way. The Bills can win ugly, win clean, and the Chiefs have been doing it for years. So finally, we have a bunch of teams that dance with the devil, and that's how they win games. So this is going to be fascinating to see. But the Commanders, I think they're well-rounded. They've seen the Eagles a couple of times. They're going to know how to attack that defense, and I think that poise is a big thing. And you mentioned Hurts making a couple crucial mistakes there late game, getting the Rams an opportunity to get back in the game. That is something I do not trust Hurts with, weirdly enough, and I trust the rookie more so than I trust Hurts. He is going to be poised, composed, calm, collected. That is such a valuable asset to have in a quarterback because you're comfortable going for it on fourth down at any point in the game because you're comfortable. He can get you back into it. That is, to me, dangerous. And I want the America's team Super Bowl. Bills and Commanders. Winner gets America's team. That's
America's team. We got Taylor Swift and Caitlin Clark in the box, and they get the America's team nod over us. The Bills Mafia.
Dude, nobody. No, if you polled America, who's America's team? Chiefs not getting many votes.
I mean, what qualifies you for this anymore?
The problem with the Chiefs is that they are not hands down more talented than their counterparts, but they find themselves on the right side. When you look at other sports, it's a different kind of annoyance and hate when the Warriors were at their peak, because what are we going to do with Katie, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green? Like, there's nothing you can do about it. But when you look at the Chiefs, it's like, wait a second. I visually watch them play football, and they're not overly impressive. Yet they're still
stop.
Like,
okay,
no, it's true though. It's like the Patriots.
We're getting out of hand. What are y'all talking? Like, have we been watching the same football game?
The reason why the country does not like the Chiefs in a different, more, I don't know, animosity way.
The Chiefs are actually kind of like a fun football team with good football play. Like, Chris Jones is a Hall of Famer. Travis Kelce's a Hall of Famer. DeAndre Hopkins is a Hall of Famer. Patrick Mahomes is maybe the greatest talent we've ever seen at quarterback. Andy Reid is a Hall of Fame head coach. Steve Spags is probably going to be a Hall of Famer as a defensive coordinator, and he might get a head coaching job the way that Colin's been handing him out this offseason. I don't know. We're getting far away from the plot if we're saying the Chiefs have not been more talented than other teams. They've out-talented guys just as much as they've out-schemed them and out-willed them. That is a really good team. They have all pros at two guard spots and center. You have DeAndre Hopkins, a first-round pick, and Xavier Worthy, who ran the fastest 40 time in the history of the draft. On defense, you have a guy in Trent McDuffie who just shut Nico Collins down, and game in and game out, he's an all-pro corner. Nick Bolton up front. George Karlaftis, a guy that you just drafted, is one of the better pass rushers that's young in the league. Chris Jones. This is a really good team.
What I'm saying is that I'm comparing them to another dynastic kind of entity in the world of sports, where they're not overwhelming. Yeah, the Warriors, or several different college football iterations, where it's the talent that's just overwhelming, and you almost don't want to turn the game on because, well, why am I going to watch for this formality of a national championship game when I know that Nick Saban's going to come out on top once again? No, people tune in to watch the Chiefs because every single year they're given a reason to believe the Chiefs really, they're not that good.
They're
not more exciting. Yeah, it certainly is the NFL.
Yeah.
But this iteration of the Chiefs looks certainly vulnerable, especially because there are
Where have I heard that before? Are we not going to learn from Are we not going to learn from our history? This is not 10 years ago that we had this same conversation. We did this last year. We did this the year before. I'll close it with this, and y'all I'll let you have the last word since your team did just suffer a very ill fate tonight in the Ravens against the Bills. I'll let you have the last word, but I just want to close it with this. I think at a certain point, we have to give into the reality of what we've known to happen and what we should expect to happen next. When Brady was doing it, we succumbed to it. We eventually said, you know what? It's Tom Brady. He has the magic. He knows how to win. He leads his guys. He makes it and we folded to it. It worked out to
No,
7
you're
Super
getting the
Bowl rings.
Patriots treatment. This is what people did with the Patriots too. It's this is finally they're going to be knocked off. We're finally over the Patriots. This is finally it. We're going to knock him off his horse. And he just didn't stop. And he didn't stop.
You're right.
And that is what's happening now with the Chiefs. You're just getting the Patriots treatment.
But they're actually really good. And they're actually more fun to watch than those Patriots were. You have to admit that. Like Patrick Mahomes falling over, throwing touchdowns,
a little bit
scrambling
more
around.
flashy. And the Super Bowls they've played in have been good. So there's something to that. I understand the Patriots have won 13-3 in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But
this is not
to the same point, you're getting there's an intangible side of football that is not necessarily quantifiable. That is probably, if not the most important, one of the most important attributes a team could have.
Yeah.
And it's the things that allow you to know how to win. And the Patriots were great at it. The Steelers are actually pretty, especially 10 years ago, were great at it for a while. Like teams that know how to win games, or that it's an intangible skill that can be developed. And that is something that the Chiefs have now mastered. And that is why they could get away with letting Tyreek Hill walk and letting certain L'Jarius Sneed walk, is because the standard in the culture they've set is one that we're going to utilize the intangibles of winning, and we're going to be able to churn out victories anyhow, anyway. And that is when other teams get frazzled, the Chiefs don't. And that is a skill that is developed and refined with experience and the whole thing. That's why they could be less talented, but they're still just as dangerous.
So, Colin, everything you said, spot on. The Chiefs also have a better roster than the Bills. So I actually don't understand why you would think the Bills will win outside of hoping the Bills do. See,
they could get away with being less talented because they're better at winning now. And it's like a makeup. Like one goes down, the other goes up. And sure, that's fine.
They have better units all over the field. Like they have a better defense. They have better wide receiver core.
The defense
quarterback,
the defense is better. And but offensively, Allen and Mahomes is a better player, but I wouldn't say it's like as much of a jump as you want to give it credit for, at least for what it is right now. Like they're both the top two players at the position. Like there's only so big of a gap.
It's also, you don't put like a resume, staple it to the chest of Patrick Mahomes. You don't get him credit for his Super Bowls while he's on the field in an AFC Championship game, if that makes sense. Certainly, the resume and the legacy and all of that comes with Patrick Mahomes far outweighs anyone who's touching the field right now. However, when you're watching the games, some guys are playing better football than other guys right now. And the guy who's playing better football right now is wearing Bills red, white, and blue.
You're right. My bad. 16 for 22. But let me get the stats right. I don't want to mess this up. This guy that's playing this knockout dead football here. Josh Allen. 0 touchdowns through the air, 127 yards, solid 86.7 passer rating.
When your quarterback went 16 for 25, 177 yards and 1 touchdown?
Yeah, that's better.
Hold on.
It's better. It's just
who's playing better football? And his family.
Who's playing better football right now? Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen?
We could say that Mahomes is playing great football. We could say that Mahomes is playing great football, but the stats don't line up. But we can't say that Josh Allen's playing great football because the stats don't line up either.
Who's playing better football right now?
The guy who is going to either be
over
MVP
over the resume of the entire season, Allen without a question.
Over the past 5 games, I just don't. We're not talking in a. I feel like I'm in a twilight zone right now.
Theo. He's second AP All Pro this year behind Jackson. There's a reason that that Allen is getting the praise that he is getting because he has put together his best body of work as a professional football player this year. This is not Mahomes' best body of work.
Yeah, you're right. My bad. 16 for 22. 127 is a lot of passing yards, though. I'm sure if everybody hit more on Prize Picks, I'm sure they got really close. So, it's hard to do, especially in the playoffs. Oh, he had a nice stat padding game against the Broncos. Remember when he was in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes left, up by 30, still passing the ball down the field? I guess he got some yards against them. We'll see what happens when he plays a real defense.
Not excusable. Like Colin has mentioned, the numbers do not matter. It's the wins and losses that do matter. And it's the
So who has the wins? The Patrick Mahomes has the wins. He has the wins. Huh?
Different season. They're both the same amount of wins.
They have more wins. The Chiefs have more wins this year than the Bills.
the Bills actually have more playoff wins this year than the Chiefs have playoff
All
wins.
right, moving on to
That's actually a certifiable fact, but you can't dispute that. We got one more thing to get out of the way because we're not going to be on the air tomorrow on ESPN 106.3 for Martin Luther King Day. It's time for your last word on tomorrow night's college football playoff national championship, which always, without fail, loses all of the steam that it might build up throughout the entirety of the bracket, whether it's 4 teams or whether it's 12 teams. Because of the NFL playoffs taking all the headlines, we kind of just stumble into Monday. And oh, wait, there's something to watch on TV at 7:30.
Yeah, they didn't handle that properly.
No.
There's not a lot of juice to this game.
I'll say this. This is what I have on that. I'm afraid. I love Marcus Freeman. I want the Irish to win. I'm afraid this is shaping up to be another one of those games where Notre Dame on the national stage gets punked a little bit. I think Ohio State runs away with this
thing. It's like a Notre Dame thing. It's just like Ohio State's just better than everybody.
Yeah, it's not even a criticism of Notre Dame. It's more so it's just going to remind me of 2013. It's going to remind me of the Manti Te'o walking out of the locker room, going up against this behemoth of a team in Alabama, and they get smoked. Like, I think this is a different Notre Dame program under Marcus Freeman. I do think that there is still a gap in talent, and Notre Dame is walking in there a little bit injured, banged up. Ohio State's going to win this game. I don't think it's very close. We already got Jeremiah Smith commenting about how they're going to be playing man-to-man against them. I think he has a big day. I'm all over Ohio State at whatever number they'll give me. So I feel bad about it. I want to see Marcus Freeman succeed. I love what Notre Dame has cooking, but I think it's over with.
I've got some stats. I'm a man who's on Twitter way too much, so I see everything. Courtesy of Brad Powers, big insider in gambling and knows these things. Marcus Freeman, you give him more than 7 days to prepare for his opponent. He is 12-0 against the spread. The average cover, 14 points per game. That means he's not only surpassing expectations, but he's doing it by 2 touchdowns. Marcus Freeman, he's on a 15-2-1 against the spread run versus ranked teams. Average cover, more than a touchdown, 8.7 points. I'd be very wary to bet against Marcus Freeman in this game. You want to talk magic? You want to talk mojo? You want to talk the Notre Dame Fighting Irish? Watch out. And this is undoubtedly hope casting because I will not be able to sit in that godforsaken studio with Michael Rizzo. And I also Amazoned a bunch of Notre Dame gear and a leprechaun hat that I need to wear. I was going to wear it to work tomorrow if we were going to have in-studio shows. So I need a reason to wear it. And that's my only hope.
I can't deal with him. I can't deal with him if they're going to win. I can't deal with that.
Who would be more miserable? Who would y'all rather, if you had to pick between the Chiefs winning and Ohio State winning, who would y'all feel more? Because I don't beat my chest too much.
You're a fake Chiefs fan. It would be you 100 days of the week.
So you'd be cool with that. I appreciate it.
Man. Yeah, I never took you being a Chiefs fan to begin with. But yes.
Well, then go with your brain and pick the Chiefs then. Just ride with what you know.
This has nothing to do with you. This is everything to do with the Chiefs. I'm just so sick of the Chiefs.
I get you.
It's a greater good situation. Like I'm going to put my feelings behind it and look at America as a whole. America will wake up on Tuesday and be okay with Ohio State winning a national championship. I don't know if America will see Monday morning if the Chiefs win a Super Bowl once again and make it a 3-peat. That's what I'm concerned with. You know how we had the day off for Election Day because of some kind of scaredy cats in the office? Like we might have to have the day off and work remotely because all hell will break loose on Clematis and there'll be a national state of emergency. When the TV makes that noise and flashes. Yeah. I don't want to live in a world where the Chiefs win 3 consecutive Super Bowls.
I was the scaredy cat, by the way, that volunteered for the day off on Election Day. I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not in Palm Beach County, not after what I saw happen on January 6th. Colin, your last thoughts on the national championship game?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think Ohio State's going to win and cover. That's an interesting stat that the CCAP brought up. It probably wouldn't change my decision. But I am on this side. I understand. I don't really think in trends as much, but in terms of firepower, I give Ohio State a lot of credit because they don't necessarily need Smith to have a huge game to beat you, and that was very evident against Texas. But one thing I give Notre Dame credit for is win or lose, bad game or good game, they don't get out of the game plan. They don't get off schedule, like never. And Riley Leonard had 2 turnovers in that early part of that game in the Penn State game. And they even went to a backup to get you down the field at the end of the first quarter, at the end of the first half. And they never got off script. They never got off track. And they kind of just let the game fall to them. So if they're playing a team, then letting it fall to them and not necessarily taking chances when they maybe need to take chances, then Ohio State's going to eventually make you burn. It's going to be too hard to stop this team for 4 quarters. But if you want to beat Ohio State, guess what? There's a blueprint out there. Look at the Michigan tape. Make Howard uncomfortable. You beat him, you beat that team. That's the bottom line. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think that Ohio State knows that if they get the balls in their if they get the ball in the playmakers' hands consistently, it's just going to be too much. There's too many options. There's too many pros on one side versus the other.
Yeah, it's the pros versus Joes, and that's why I think it could get ugly. CCAT, are you going to actually put some hard-earned money? Like, would you put hard-earned money on the cover based on those trends, or are you just saying those trends because you want Notre Dame to win so you can, in spite of Mike Rizzo?
15-0 is glaring. I'll say that. 15-0 is glaring.
Yeah, those trends are pretty stark where to cover, I think if the number's still at 8.5 or whatever it is, I think I would put hard-earned money on Notre Dame to keep it within 8.5 points, but to win. I feel like I'm on a slow death march where I'm just seeing the guillotine and it's about a block away and I'm waiting in line and I'm going to get there and I'm going to get there. And it's been a real tough couple of weeks as sports fan. I'm going to tell you what, with Penn State losing the way they did, with the Ravens losing the way they did, I went through a couple of year stretch as a Yankee fan and a Penn State football fan where we were still in the 14 playoff format where the regular season game pretty much ended your season. Whenever Penn State eventually ran up against Ohio State, bang, season over, you lost that football game. And it always was within the week of the ALCS where the Yankees would bang, lose to the Astros, and that's that. The 2 teams that I care the most about out in one full swoop, and it's painful. And now we bring in team number 3, the Baltimore Ravens, 3rd in command, but they still found a way to make me feel like they were number 1, and this loss comes a week and a half after Penn State broke my heart right before my eyes. All of that is to say, take Notre Dame plus the points and turn the game off at halftime if it's ugly.
I think a lot of people are going to skip out on watching this game. I think a lot of people are going to forget this game is happening until tomorrow morning when they wake up, and that's kind of sick to say about a national championship.
That's the way to handle this, by the way. If and when Ohio State wins, act like it never happened.
Act like it never happened. That's what we did to Michigan last year.
Act like it never happened.
It's the championship that didn't matter. The championship that nobody
doesn't matter. Say it's not a big deal. Say the 12-team playoff is not representative of the best team in the country.
Yes.
Just do whatever you got to do. Just act like this is not a big deal.
Yes, absolutely.
Boy, that's the team we lost. We saw them lose to Michigan.
A 2-loss national champion? Oh, that's a little rough.
And also, they've always said Michigan, that's the game that they care the most about, and they lost that one.
Yeah.
So,
see, I'm going to change my idea. That's a good idea.
Ryan Day's jaw on the line. It was national championship or bust after losing to Michigan.
Well, watch them lose like 26-27, and then they're going to be calling for Day's job the next day. It's going to be ridiculous.
They'll be calling for Marcus Freeman. That would be the move.
You actually think, yes, by the way, Marcus Freeman, NFL smoke, is there fire there, or is that just talking because he's in the news and NFL coaching carousel in the news?
That, with all the jobs open, just like Colin wanted to hand 18 jobs out to NFL coaches.
There's enough jobs open.
It's like, he's like, here's getting a job, and he's getting a job. With all the jobs open, whenever there's a hot coach that is doing well, overachieving, people like to throw their names and stuff. I bet you he's not even considering those things right now, especially not in the midst of getting ready for a national championship.
There's so much stability in a college coach too. If you're comfortable, you're making more money than you will at the NFL level.
Yeah.
You run a campus. As long as you're comfortable with recruiting, your stability is pretty second to none.
Yeah, when you're winning a national championship in college football, why would you ever leave for the NFL? Oh, crap, that happened last year with Jim Harbaugh. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that was
It's easy
different.
to bunker down.
Harbaugh was
Down while you're in practice, while you're fighting for a national championship.
The FBI was getting off the plane in Ann Arbor, and he was.
What are you talking about? Harbaugh left a burning building. Like, Harbaugh did not leave because he was in good standing and just won the championship. He got out ahead of the violations and the penalties that were about to come down. And also, I'm sure he was sick of it after all those years and after all the money he had to give back to retain his job and stuff.
Yeah,
he kind of got that monkey off his back.
3 for Freeman. I don't know. I think he's like maybe you got to strike when the iron's hot. But I got to go through the contract too. He's got a big contract. I'm not sure how that works with leaving.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if logistically it will work, but I mean, maybe field a couple calls, throw your name in the hat, and just back off.
You take the Cowboys interview. That's what you do. You just take that interview.
You take the interview. You throw your name in the hat and you back off.
But you said strike while the iron's hot. I don't think coaches think that way. I think they kind of look at their rosters and their reputations and their potential as infallible, that they are in direct control of it. Where I don't think that Marcus Freeman looks at his stock. If Notre Dame plays a great game, maybe loses a close one, or even wins a national championship, and says, time to cash in on it. Maybe cash in on as taking interviews and then going back to the bargaining table with the Notre Dame athletic department. That could be it. But I don't think it's now the time to jump to the league because I'll never have my stock as high as this.
I'll agree with you on certain candidates, and I would think Marcus Freeman falls in that category. Like the Ben Johnson, I'm only going to leave when I know this is the right move for me, and I know that this is probably the best for my career, and I'm not necessarily utilizing momentum. But I think there are coaches in the world that realize that their opportunities like coaching in the NFL are few and far between. And if you got to jump at it, you got to jump. But I don't think that would be Freeman. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, coaches have egos. They do believe that they are, the gift from God at any campus organization they're with. So you're right. I think they can squeeze. They believe they can squeeze as much as possible. But coaches are also realists. And again, Harbaugh left for a reason. All those kids go in the draft, like a record number of kids go in the draft, and you end up having those violations coming down the line, and you finally got the championship. He sees the Herbert job. The Chargers open the blank check up. He's out of there. I think money also is probably the thing that it gets talked about enough, but maybe not enough. That's always the overriding, deciding factor. Even Marcus Freeman, he could have everybody coming back. He could win the championship with Notre Dame, be, flying high. If the Cowboys and Jerry Jones says whatever you want, you can have it, he would pull up the next day, Like everybody has their number at that point.
Yeah, it's like the Cowboy job is that doesn't fall out of the sky frequently, right? So at some point you're like, you can never coach that type of brand, but I understand.
Yeah. And money also, apart from just the bottom line, it has you like talk yourself into it. Like, wait a second. That job is pretty good. Even though I'm paying this quarterback that amount of money and there's dissension in the locker room and our best player
plenty of money. He's got nothing to complain about. Yeah, he's making plenty of money.
Yeah. Yeah, and they could get some brand deals on Micah Parsons' podcast, and you can kind of like play it up that way too. It's multiple streams.
That's it. Yeah. Marcus Freeman Mondays gonna hop on.
Yeah. I know it would happen if Deion got the job. It would happen if Deion got the job.
That's true.
We'll put a bow on it with that. We return again. We're off tomorrow for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so enjoy that. Enjoy the inauguration. We'll be pulling back up from the studios and not from the cribs on Tuesday with Theoretically Speaking and Russo and Rizzo, and hopefully we'll be doing so in the wake of Marcus Freeman becoming the first black head coach to win a championship, and not in the wake of Ryan Day being the guy to lead Ohio State back to the promised land, because I can hear Rizzo walking through the door yelling right now, and it's not a pretty sound. So any closing words, fellas? Get out of there. Catch y'all Tuesday.
I'm gonna
let's root against the Chiefs.
Something I don't want to.
At all
I was about
costs.
to say again. Screw you, Colin, and CCAT again. I'm sorry. We're doing this. You're a true professional. I don't know how much my heart would have it in me to be able to do this right after my team got hosed like that at the end. It sucks.
Thankfully, my brain went straight to like the technical side of getting us up and live, so like I didn't have time to fully absorb it. Last year, I recorded myself, and the Ravens got eliminated. This year, I was getting ready for this, so I didn't even think of it. But face down in the couch, absorbing who it was that just dropped the football, That makes it more painful. Like if it was just another drop from another Ravens receiver, like we've seen that, and that also sucks. But they wanted their redemption Disney moment, and they didn't get it whatsoever. They got their Black Mirror poetic failure moment from Mark Andrews, and I get in the notifications on my phone where John Harbaugh is like, "We're going to stick with our guy. We trusted him in the moment."
That's so bad.
Like, God,
That's
He
so
better
bad.
move. He's got to move houses. He's got to
Yeah.
stay. He's got to go to vacation for 3 weeks, and he's got to stay away.
It would have been such a great redemption arc too, because remember he had the car accident right before the season. You know, the first game was ugly. There were so many things. He did so well throughout the regular season, and then for him to just fold in the biggest moments, the most veteran target you have, the one guy you felt like you should be able to count on is Mark Andrews, and he folds in the big moment 3 times. Again, and Lamar's going to get blamed for it for the whole next decade. We're going to be talking about this Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson head-to-head win. And again, tip of the cap to Josh Allen. Didn't make any mistakes. So congrats to the teams moving on. Sorry to the teams exiting. Long off season for Ravens fans.
And Lamar's going to have to lie his ass off because we know his team's sold, as the kids say these days, right? They still. So like he's just going to have to be like, what, like he's just going to have to take ownership for this, which he totally should not have to do that. He should say, yeah, that was a bad play in the first half. Should have cut my losses, went down when
the Linderbaum snap, the bad
went
snap, like Linderbaum getting pushed back into him and he trips over him too. Like it was a lot of and you called it before we got to this game. Ravens drop game. It happens every other year. So
save me, Ray Lewis. Save me.
He's in Wellington. He's close by. You might be able to get in touch with him soon. He's right there next door.
I don't know if in the proverbial Ray Lewis, like I don't know if I'm looking up at him.
Oh my God. I love the decor in the back. Colin, CCAT was great. I'm gonna get some sleep and again enjoy Dr. King Day and a good inauguration speech, and we're back at it again on Tuesday from 2 to 6 on ESPN 106.3.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yep.